What is going on, Jet fans? Today, I want to get into 3 free agents the New York Jets could sign to try to help fix this offensive line. Matt O'Leary, NY on social media. And don't forget about the Just Jets podcast. New episode drops every single Wednesday. All right, let's hop into it. It's an important discussion right now, the offensive line, because, well, the offensive line at times during training camp has had some question marks. To be fair, yes, Dwayne Brown has not returned. AVT banged up, Laken Tomlinson banged up, and there are certainly some question marks there, but you kind of got to find the happy medium, right? No one should be saying that the world is over, that the season's cooked, the Jets offensive line is going to flat out stink, and at the same time, you should also not be saying everything is okay, there's no reason to worry, all that. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. And what I wanted to do today was talk about 3 guys the New York Jets could still sign to potentially help out their offensive line. There's different levels here. There's one guy that I really like and would be a very big advocate for. There's another one who I'm like, okay, kind of see it. That would be interesting. Third guy I'm like lukewarm on, but could possibly see it because of a Joe Douglas connection. So without further ado, let's hop into it. And we'll start with my favorite option, which is Dalton Risner, who is a guard. He played with the Denver Broncos. He is a former second-round pick from the 2019 season, and he just turned 28 years old. So he is still in the prime of his career. It's not like he's, over 30 years old, over the hill. He's still a productive player. I mean, he's started pretty much every game. He played 15 games each of the last 2 years, but he's been relevant and involved in this Broncos offensive line for the last 4 years as a starter, and a pretty good starter. Is he an elite level guard? No, but is he a serviceable starter? Absolutely. And for him to still be sitting out there in free agency is a little bit bizarre when, again, he allowed 3 sacks and 29 pressures and just 1 penalty. Which obviously, penalties is important. Playing left guard last year for Denver. You could probably slot in on the right side of this offensive line at guard, and then that allows you to move AVT outside to right tackle, which is something they talked about doing. Robert Saleh said himself he's got to get the best 5 out there. They're open to the idea of playing Elijah Vera Tucker at tackle, even though the preference is at guard. And I get it. My preference, too, is to keep Elijah Vera Tucker at guard in a perfect world. The problem is the Jets are not in a perfect world right now because Dwayne Brown hasn't yet practiced, and we're gonna assume, even with Dwayne Brown, that he is going to play and be good to go and be fine at left tackle. Mekhi Becton is working his way back. They finally practiced him at right tackle yesterday, and I hope to see him in the game on Saturday at right tackle, which is really, really important. But he's still running with the 2s. They don't feel comfortable enough yet to bump him up to the number 1s. Maybe eventually they do, but if they don't view him as a realistic starter, adding that insurance and not having to start Max Mitchell or Billy Turner is a win. That would absolutely be a win, and I think Dalton Risner is at least a starting caliber guard. So having from left to right an option of Brown, Tomlinson, Tippmann/McGovern, Dalton Risner, and then AVT. That's something that I would be comfortable with because I also don't love the idea of moving Tippmann out to guard. If he wins the starting job at center, fine. That's great. That's what I would like to see. But then McGovern hasn't played guard in years, so there's risk there. And Schweitzer, I think, is good depth. I don't know if I want him to start, but Dalton Risner, I think, would be my preferred option if the Jets are going to add someone on the offensive line. The second guy I am pretty high on, I wouldn't say as high as Dalton Risner, but as someone who's can play or at a minimum add improved depth and better depth than what they already have, and that's Justin Pugh, who can play guard or tackle, has played on the left and right side. He tore his ACL last year, and he only played in 5 games and 1 pressure allowed, no sacks in those 5 games playing at left guard. But he's been cleared to practice, and he is expected to make his return. He just hasn't signed anywhere yet. But he's absolutely someone with the flexibility to play at either tackle or guard that is intriguing to me. Those versatile offensive linemen that provide positional flexibility is interesting. And yes, you had that with Billy Turner, but let's be honest with ourselves, Justin Pugh is a much better player than what Billy Turner is. And to me, much more reliable. I understand how much Nathaniel Hackett and I understand how much Aaron Rodgers likes Billy Turner. They talk about him a lot. Hell, even Billy Turner followed Nathaniel Hackett to Denver last year and has now followed him to New York. That's 2 stops after Green Bay with Nathaniel Hackett. And Aaron Rodgers has spoken highly of him, but he's not the same caliber of player as Justin Pugh. And I know, like, Pugh is not going to be the New York Giants level of Justin Pugh when he's playing right tackle, but he's still a solid player. He can still add value to this offensive line in a season that's you have championship expectations. You don't want to skimp out on your offensive line depth. And again, I would like adding that veteran. The last guy on this list is interesting. I am not 100% sold on it. I don't even think I would necessarily advocate for it, but it's something that would not necessarily be the most surprising thing because there is a Joe Douglas connection. And that is Jason Peters, the veteran offensive tackle, spent a ton of years in Philadelphia and obviously had overlap there with Joe Douglas. He can play guard and tackle. He did play a little bit of guard last year. Can play on either side, but mostly in his career has played left tackle. Thing is, he's old. He's older than Dwayne Brown. He's 41 years old, which is it's up there. That is up there in age for any player, but specifically for an offensive lineman. He played in 10 games for Dallas last year, 1 start, but potentially a swing tackle, potentially insurance policy if Dwayne Brown isn't ready to go. And I'm not necessarily saying start Jason Peters, but if Peters wants to play, and he said earlier today that his intention was to play in the 2023 season, continuing to play, you could do a lot worse. Would I feel more comfortable with Peters over Turner and Mitchell? I probably would, even at that age. Again, I don't know even if I want to sign him and say, yep, that's it. He's definitely plugged in at right tackle. He's the starter. I don't know if I'm ready to say that, but I probably would feel a little bit more comfortable with him over, again, Turner or Mitchell. Is that crazy? In a 1-year stopgap in a year where you're going for it? I don't necessarily think so. Look, the bottom line is I just want to make sure that the New York Jets offensive line is 100% up to par because, well, that could be the thing that makes or breaks this season. And I would rather make this season than break this season. So hopefully maybe they don't have to sign anybody and maybe Mekhi Becton just steps up and earns that right tackle spot and everything's fine. But I understand the concern with the offensive line. Let me know your thoughts. Would you add any of these players that I listed off? If so, who? If someone else, let me know. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you next time.